Last time we talked about how this farm here is the best current farm for mystical agriculture. I did allude to the fact that bees are actually better, so that's what we're going to go over today. There's a few important bees we need to talk about. The first bee is the Prospera bee. Now this bee can be gotten by using a prosperity block on a crystalline bee. Crystalline bees you can find in the nether. You can do that by using lots and lots of quartz on a quartz nest. You can even go into the nether and make yourself a quartz nest and then use lots and lots of quartz on a quartz nest to get yourself a crystalline bee. Now, crystalline bees can breed together. So if you look through here, there's nothing that says they can't breed together. Whereas the Prospera bee, this species of bees, cannot breed amongst themselves, meaning that we have to get ourselves a good amount of crystalline bees to turn them into Prospera bees before we can do anything else. The reason we need Prospera bees is because the Prospera bees are what get turned into the Inferium bees. It's also quite important to note, I tried to put this at the start of the episode rather than halfway through, just in case I lose a few people by this point. The Inferium bees can breed amongst themselves. So once you've got to the point where you've got two Inferium bees, you can just breed those instead of having to go via the crystalline route. Now, once you've got yourself a bunch of crystalline bees, you can do that by breeding them in a breeding chamber just like this. It's 2 poppies, 1 poppy each for each of the crystalline bees. You can get yourself these crystalline bee children though. So these two are child bees. Now you can pop these through the baby incubator right here and get yourself some adult crystalline bees. I have already got max stats on these ones. I'll show you how to get those later. But for now, I want to show you this little machine that I've set up over here. So this is a redstone clock from Utilitarian. If you were to put a bee in here, it will do a redstone signal. And I've got a modular router right here, which if we open this one up, you can see it's doing an activate to the front and the action is right click entity. Now in there, I had got some prosperity blocks right there. And then if we go underneath, you can see I don't actually have any bee cages in here. So I'm going to put 2 in right there. And I think it's already done it. It's captured the Prospera bee into the bee cage. I've got a filter upgrade right here. So you can make one of these just like this. And what you do is you right click on the bee that you want to like capture. So in this case, I wanted to capture the Prospera bee. So it's captured the Prospera bee for us. So I can take that out now. And what you can do with this is you can squish it. So just to show you this one more time, the redstone clock will activate the dispenser. The dispenser will put the bee out. The modular router will use the prosperity block on the bee. And the catcher will put the Prospera bee into a bee cage, just like that. So that's covered this machine here and these 2 machines. We've got this beast over here, which isn't as complicated as it looks, I swear. So what this one does is it's the same as what we've got over here. So a redstone clock and a dispenser. So I can put a Prospera bee. I've got the 2 that we just made right here. Put one in like this. Unfortunately, it does squish the bees. So the piston right here, which is extended, if you do this, you can see that it goes squish and it will squish the bee down. You can actually leave it extended and dispense the bees in there and they will still get squished. And underneath it, we've got a bottler. Make sure the bottler has got glass bottles in it. Otherwise, you won't get any of the squished bee material. I'm going to take the puller module out of my modular router right here. And I'm going to put 1 more of these Prospera bees in. And that got squished. And you can see we get the bee stinger, which is from Bumble Zone. I'm using the modular router right here to push all of the bee stingers up here. And we're also getting all of these different gene samples. Now, this is the most important one for the prosperity down here, which is the type of bee, prosperity. If we click on the prosperity bee spawn egg right there, you can see the only way to get this is by using a honey treat with 100% prosperity on there. So to make this, you do need 100% of this type right here. The other ones on here. So like this one here, the behavior of Metaternal, the productivity of Very High, and the weather tolerance of Any. These three right here are also very important. But as I said, I will go over how to get those later. So I'm going to just quickly put this back in like that. That will pull everything out of the powered centrifuge that we've got right here and put it into the gene indexer. Now, what the gene indexer does is it will combine genes together. So you can squish a bee, and previously we just saw that we got a bee which had, I can't remember what it was, like 22% of a prosperity type. If you have another one which has 19%, you can combine those two together to get yourself a 41%, for example. This does waste percentages. So if you've got a 98% prosperity gene sample right here, and you get one that is 40%, it will just get rid of the extra percent and just make you a 100% prosperity bee gene sample. Unfortunately, but it's what you have to pay for automation, right? So to go over this completely, we've got ourselves a dispenser, which is being redstone clocked, and the dispenser is going to dispense the bee. The bee is then going to get squished, and we get some squished bee material. And the squished bee material ends up in the powered centrifuge, thank you to the basic item collector. I've also got a demagnetization coil right here. I've got a magnet on, so I don't want to pick up the squished bee material. So that has picked up the squished bee material, put it in the powered centrifuge. That's got power around the back right here. The powered centrifuge is then being pulled out of by the modular router. I'm using a modular router because it can pull stacks at a time, and you can put speed upgrades and muffler upgrades and stuff in there as well. This is pulling into the gene indexer and also the chest, because you always get a stinger now whenever a bee dies. So that is how we're getting a ton of different gene samples right here. I'm going to put, let's put, I don't know, 2 more bees in there, and we can see this work right here. So we get ourselves the squish bee material. That is going to go in here, and we got ourselves 100% prosperity right there. Excellent. So we can now put this on a honey treat. The honey treat is made by adding a honeycomb to a honey bottle, and you can put that on just like this. You are then going to want to use the bee incubator. Again, we used it over there. We're going to use it one more time. Get yourself an egg. Put the egg in like this. This does take some time. If you've got a Just Dire Things time wand, which I also have a tutorial on, you can actually speed this up, and it will go a lot quicker. That gets you the Prosperity Bee spawn egg, or the Prospera Bee spawn egg, as it says. Next thing you want to do is you want to put your Prosperity Bee spawn egg in the middle right here, and give the pedestals a couple of the Inferium essence right there. And you also need some Inferium blocks. It's actually quite important to set this farm up first, so you get enough to get yourself all of the essence that you need to make yourself some bees. So you can, from here, you can upgrade these to the Prudentium. Unfortunately, Prudentium can't breed amongst themselves. So you want to stop at the Inferium bee spawn egg stage, because this way, what you can do is, if I place these two down, so I'm going to put this right next to this, so we can just instantly collect, just like that. You can then swap these out right here and put in your 2 Inferium bees. Now, because you use the spawn egg, they do come out with really bad stats. So what you could do is go and give them really good stats to begin with. So there's 3 bees that you kind of want to get from this. There's the water or prismarine bee. That's 2 of them. It doesn't matter which one you get, as long as you get one of them. They will give you the traits of weather tolerance of any. That means that if it's raining, if it's thunderstorming, if it's nice and sunny out, the bees will continually work. The next bee that you want to try and get is the kamikaze bee, which is what this insane looking piece of fashion is right here. So what this is a bee nest helmet. The bee nest helmet is a diamond helmet and a bee nest. And when you're wearing this, angry bees won't attack you. And you've got a 30% chance of a kamikaze bee being spawned when you get hit by anything. So what you can do is you can get yourself a catcher, and you don't have to have a filter in it. If you add a bunch of range upgrades, these ones right here, into the catcher, it gives it a really big range where it can capture bees. And you want to sit somewhere with the helmet on and get attacked by something. So it doesn't matter what you're getting attacked by, as long as you're being attacked and it spawns a kamikaze bee. The catcher will catch the kamikaze bee, and then you can squish those kamikaze bees because they can't breed amongst themselves, as it says right here. They're also ridiculously small, so trying to actually use a bee cage on them is a bit of a fuss. So I'd highly recommend using a catcher. Squish those bees up and you get yourself a gene sample for very high productivity. Now, the final one is metaternal. So metaternal means that the bees will work through the day and through the night. So they're not nocturnal. Nocturnal means that they only work at night. And they're not diurnal, which means that they only work during the day. So to do that, all you need to do is get some bees and you need to use a lead on a bee. So I'm going to do that with, I don't know, this Prosperity bee, for example. We're going to use a lead and I'm just going to put a knot on this oak fence right here. And we have to just leave these. This one's already metaternal, but we just have to leave them out for a while. Now, make sure you have some of the honey treats on you because these do take damage during the, like, a thunderstorm or, you know, when it's raining or something. They will take damage. So what you need to do is feed them with some honey treats and the honey treats will heal them back up. So I've got 2 honey treats right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the weather tolerance of any. We've got 2 of the weather tolerance of any. So that's really useful. We've got 2 of the very high productivities. And we also need 2 of the metaternals. So we actually have the perfect amount right there. And what we can do is we can pop these on like this. All 3 of them will go on the same honey treat, just like this. And you can pop those on the Inferium bees. So this is going to change their traits. Right now, this has got a productivity of high, weather tolerance of none, meaning if it's raining or thunderstorming or whatever, it just won't work. And the behavior is diurnal. So that means that this bee will only work during the day. There we go. So now this bee right here has very high any metaternal. Perfect. And so does this bee. Now, if you breed these 2 together, they will give you Inferium bees that have very high any and metaternal because both of them have it. Although you could just put it on the one that's on the left and you could only do that on one. You don't have to do it on both. Small bit of automation right here. The bees, when they're finished over here, won't actually make another bee until this one over here has been removed from the breeding chamber. So you've got to keep an eye on that. And what I've done is I've just got a modulator that's pulling out from this one and putting into the baby incubator. And the baby incubator is turning the Inferium bees into adult bees. And then we've got another modulator right here, which is pulling from that and putting up into a chest. So we've got some Inferium bees now. And what we can do with these is we can also squish these bees. Now, the reason you want to do that is for the same reason as the Prospera bee, is because you want the spawn egg. Once you've got the spawn egg, you can upgrade the bees to Predentium, Tertium, Imperium, Supremium, and then Insanium. Insanium bees are the best way to get Inferium. Insanium, if you didn't know, breaks down, if we use that, sorry, breaks down into Supremium. Supremium breaks down into Imperium. Imperium breaks down into Tertium. Tertium breaks down into Predentium. Predentium breaks down into Inferium. So, if we have a look at the Insanium comb, right here, the Insanium comb, which is produced from the Insanium bee, gives you a 10% chance to get 1 Insanium essence. Now, how much Inferium is there in 1 Insanium essence? Let's find out. So this is from my stash. So we get 4 Supremium, which is 16 Imperium, which is 64 Tertium, which is 4 stacks of Predentium, which is 16 stacks of Inferium. And that is from 1 10% chance of a comb coming through. Now, I'm not going to show you how to get the Omega upgrades, but they are quite complicated to make. You need a bunch of the Gamma upgrades. You need a block upgrade. You need a lot of Heart of the Seas. there's a couple of different ways to get Heart of the Seas. With Mystical, you can use Nautilus shells, which you can get from Fish Essence and Prismarine Essence. Using the Prismarine Essence and Diamond and Squid Essence, you can get yourself Heart of the Seas. That's probably the easiest way to get Heart of the Seas. There's other ways, like there's a ritual which will summon a possessed Ender Guardian, which you can then stick in some amber. If you're going to stick with bees, that's probably a good way to get yourself some of these Heart of the Seas. There's other ways to do it as well. There's a way with Mechanism, but that uses a Nether Star and some antimatter. But it's up to you which way you want to go. The Omega upgrades, they give you both a simulation and a block upgrade. So the simulation upgrade is amazing because it turns the bees from an entity in the world to, if I pop this down right here, into a machine that doesn't actually require any interaction other than, you know, pulling all of the resources out. So using my time wand, I am speeding this up so we can get a lot of the Inferium bees. Just like that. The Inferium bees are coming in. I'm going to squish all of these bees, and you can do a lot of them at a time. This is why I've set it up like this. Now, it's probably quite important to mention the fact that I upgraded these bees to have very high any Metaternals. So then when they get squished, whilst we're doing this whole process, we get more any Metaternal and very highs, right? So that's why I did it that way. We've got another Inferium treat right here, and that's going to go on an egg. And we can use a bit of time in the wand right there. And we can pop this one in the middle and use some Prudentium, just like we did earlier. Now, you can put them in the corners, or you can just put them randomly. It doesn't matter where you put these. That will turn that into a Prudentium spawn egg. Now, probably important for me to just point out that I've got a redstone block underneath this. This does need a redstone block to work. So we take the Prudentium bee out, pop it back in, and now we're going to turn this one into a Tertium bee. The way you get Prismarine bees is by fishing for them in ocean biomes. The way you get water bees is by fishing for them in river biomes. If there's something specific that you want to see a tutorial on, please pop a comment down below. And just like that, we got ourselves an Insanium bee. I'm going to use a bee catcher on that, and we are going to put that in here and give it all of the good traits, because as you remember, because it came out of a bee, it got random stats, and it got rubbish random stats as well. Perfect. Now, as you'll notice, that was 4 Insanium blocks and 4 Insanium, like, essence right there. You actually need one more block. So we got a block there, but I've got loads in my system. These are just coming from 5 bees right here. But you need a Insanium block to go in here, because the Insanium bee, if we have a look at what it pollinates on, is an Insanium block. So you need 5 Insanium blocks, 4 Insanium essence to make yourself a useful Insanium bee. And there we go. So we got ourselves 1 Insanium bee right here. You can repeat that step 4 more times to fill up one of these advanced oak beehives. Make sure you've got all of the Omega upgrades and everything, and you can plonk it in like that because it's simulated. And one thing you can do is with the Just Dire Things time wand, which, as I said, I've got a tutorial on. If you do this, you can get yourself tons and tons of these essence comb blocks. Now, that's 4 of these things right here. You can actually have a look if we use this. You get a 10% chance to get 4 if you use one of these Insanium comb things right here. Now, all you need to do is set up some automation to pull these out and put them into a centrifuge, which is one of these over here. Now, what I would suggest doing is using a powered centrifuge or a heated centrifuge if you are at the point where you've got Omega upgrades. Because what the heated centrifuge does is it can handle the block version of things. So I've set up a modular router right here. That's going into the heated centrifuge, and you can already see we have got ourselves a ridiculous amount of Insanium right there. Should have said insane amount of Insanium, but there we go. And again, the sun has set, so let's call it here. Thank you, everyone. Do all that subscribing and liking and all of that stuff, please. Thanks, bye.